Hi, in this video we're going to find an unknown side length where we've got two triangles with a shared side. Now we've got two right angled triangles here, and remember we can use trigonometry to solve these kind of problems. So in these two triangles we can see that this one over here, we know two of the side lengths, and we could use two of these side lengths to find the third one. Now, do you know something that allows us to relate the three side lengths of a right angled triangle? Well, we've got Pythagoras theorem, haven't we? So if we just call this side length something like y, and the reason I'm not using x is because we've already used x over here, so we can't reuse it. Now, what we can do is we can label these sides as A, B, and C. Where A and B are the two shorter sides, so we can make one of the shorter sides A and B the other shorter side, and the longest side, known as a hypotenuse, is C. Remember, the hypotenuse is always opposite to the right angle. And then remember what Pythagoras theorem is. It states that A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared. That's the formula you need to remember. So if we just substitute these lengths in, we've got A, which is y squared, plus b squared, which is 4 squared, is equal to c squared, which is 6 squared. Now, if we just simplify, we've got y squared plus 16 equals 36. So if we subtract 16 from both sides, we get y squared is equal to 20. And therefore, if we square root both sides to get rid of the squared, we get y is the square root of 20. And we could do it as a decimal, but I'm just going to leave root 20 as root 20 because we can use it in subsequent calculations. Okay, so we've worked out y. The y here is root 20. And I'm going to rub out these little circled letters here to avoid confusion in the next part of the question. Because now I want to use this triangle. And what have we got here? We've got this angle, known angle here of 28 degrees. And we've got this side length that we know, root 20. And we've got this unknown side length. Now remember, trigonometry allows us to relate two side lengths and an angle other than the right angle in a right angled triangle. And what we do is we label the sides first relative to this angle of interest here. So the angle of interest is this angle here. So it's not the right angle, it's the angle that's labelled that's not the 90 degrees. Now, let's look at the two sides that we have. We've got this root 20 here, and that side is opposite this angle of interest. So we're going to label with O for opposite. We saw this in a previous video. And then we've also got the side length of this longest side of the right angle triangle, and that's called the hypotenuse. So we're going to label that with an H. And then what we do is we work out what trigonometric ratio we should use. And the way we work that out is to use this nice little mnemonic, SOHCAHTOA, so SOHCAHTOA, like this. And we're using the opposite and the hypotenuse here. So we can see this one uses the opposite and the hypotenuse. So we use this one. Now what this is short for is sine of the angle of interest, which I'm going to call theta. That's the Greek letter theta. It's usually used to mean the angle of interest in the triangle that's not the right angle. And that is equal to the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So now we just need to substitute in our values into this formula. The angle of interest, the theta, that's the 28 degrees. So sine of 28 degrees is equal to the opposite, which was the root 20, over the hypotenuse, which is x. And now remember, when the variable is in the denominator, we can do a bit of swapping around here. Because let's say you had, for example, 2 is 8 divided by 4. How can you swap those numbers to still make it true? Well, 2 is 8 divided by 4, but 4 is 8 divided by 2, isn't it? And what we were able to do is we were able to swap the thing we're dividing by and the result of the calculation. So we swap those, you can see we get that thing below. And we can do exactly the same here to allow the x to escape the denominator. So we can swap the thing we're dividing by and the result of this calculation. So if we do that, we get x is equal to root 20 over sine of 28 degrees. And we just need to do that on our calculator. So I'm going to press the fraction button, then root 20 over sine of 28. Don't worry about how your calculator works out sine. You learn that later on in school. And you get 9.5 And how many decimal places? One decimal place, so 9.5 will do. So the answer is x is 9.5 centimeters, and we're done.